If you're new to the channel, thanks so much for joining us. We've had this channel for a couple of years now. We've got lots of different travel related videos, so please do check them out. But for this video, we are just back from our first ever cruise. We're cruise newbies and we decided to pick P&OIona to go to the Norwegian fjords. And spoiler alert, we loved it. Now, we actually vlogged the whole trip and we're going to be bringing you those videos shortly. But for this video, we wanted to share with you some top tips that we thought you may find useful if you're considering booking this cruise or you have booked the cruise. Things to know before you go, things that we learned along the way, and things to just kind of bear in mind before you actually board the ship. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to share those with you. So, first things first, do your research. If you're watching this video, I'm guessing that you probably are a bit of a researchy person, but I do really recommend before you get on board, find out as much information as you can. And obviously we're going to be sharing some things in this video, but other resources that I found really useful when we were getting ready to go on the cruise is that there's a Facebook group called P&OIona Cruises. And there's so much great information on there. You can obviously use the search icon to search any questions that you're wanting to know the answer to. They also have a very extensive review of all the cabins by number, well, most of the cabins anyway, so that is a really good resource. And also obviously YouTube, we watched lots of vlogs before we went on to Iona. And I think when it comes to a holiday like this, if you can be as prepared as possible, you'll just get so much more out of it. Don't forget that you are allowed to take a litre of alcohol per person on board Iona. You can either pack it in your suitcase or your hold luggage. Hold luggage? You're not going on a plane. Hand luggage. We did put ours in our hand luggage because obviously if you put it in your suitcase and the case gets knocked or anything, you don't want to risk any accidents. But yeah, a litre of alcohol, so that could either be beer, spirits, wine, whatever you like. You can also take unlimited soft drinks and snacks. Although to be honest, I'm not really sure why you would need snacks because there's so much food on Iona. But obviously you are only allowed to consume these within your cabin. You may have heard of My Holiday app for when you're on board Iona. Now, confusingly, My Holiday app is not actually a conventional app. It's not an app as we would know it. It is actually just a link to a web page that is your own personal web page that you can use when you're on board to book various things. So don't get confused by thinking it is an actual app that you have to download. You don't do that at all. You just connect to it when you're on board Iona through the ship's Wi-Fi. And on the subject of Wi-Fi, you have a couple of options. You can pay to have the internet package that P&O provide so that you can access Wi-Fi and things when you're on Iona. But in all honesty with you, we looked into it and it did seem fairly expensive. Some of the reviews I read weren't great, so we decided to go cold turkey and not have any Wi-Fi while we were on Iona. And to be honest with you, it was the best decision we ever made. There's not many times in life where you can go somewhere and just not be connected to the internet, not even have that option, and we really liked that because it meant that we weren't constantly on our phones. Really the only time we were on our phones were if we were taking photographs or we were booking restaurants and things like that. So we really enjoyed just kind of having that freedom away from it all. But if you do want to purchase it, you obviously can. But obviously remember that when you dock in a port, provided that you've got a provider that allows you to do this, you can obviously use your data roaming in those places and still pick up emails and things. So we liked to do that, but when we were actually out at sea, it was really nice to not have that. Just make sure though that when you are out at sea, that you put your phone onto aeroplane mode, because if you don't, it can actually pick up signals at sea and you can actually end up getting charged. So you don't want to come home to a big bill. So just make sure that your phone is on aeroplane mode once you leave the port of Southampton.
If you haven't booked the cruise yet, but the one thing that's holding you back is the thought of seasickness, that was me. So I decided to get these patches from Boots. They're called Scopoderm. It's 2 patches. You put them on about 5-6 hours before you set sail. Just behind your ear there. They last for about 3 days each, and they really worked. Because I was like terrified actually of getting seasick. I thought it was just going to be miserable, but they really worked. The one thing I'll say that happened when I did put them on, my vision one of the days was a little bit blurry, just close up. But that's one of the side effects, but that might not affect you. But I think all in all, that wasn't a huge thing. I would recommend them. You know, there's lots of stuff out there, but those really work for me. They're a wee bit more expensive. They're about £20 for 2 patches. Print off your boarding passes and your baggage labels. So your baggage labels will print off and they just fold round and you can staple them onto your bags. It saves you queuing up in another queue when you get there to do it. There's people there that can do it for you, but it saves a bit of time and you want to be as on the ball as possible so you can get on the ship quicker.
Prior to going on the cruise, you will be given allocated embarkation time. Now that can range from, I'm not sure exactly when the first embarkation is, I think it's maybe around about midday, and it can go right up till about 4 o'clock. Ours was about 3:30, but obviously we had all our luggage because we stayed the night before in Southampton and we didn't really want to be carting our suitcases around all morning. So be aware that you can actually drop your bags off at the terminal. If you're going to do that, you can drop them off from, I think it's about 11:30 onwards, and it's very simple. You just go to the terminal and the drop-off points are allocated by deck number. So if you're on deck 5, deck 4, you just look out for that number. So 4, 5, 15, whatever deck you're on. And at that point, you will just drop off your suitcases. They'll be taken away from you. And the next time you see them, all being well, they will be outside your door when you get onto the cruise. If you want to be organised, if you want to get the most out of your holiday, then I recommend doing this. 2 weeks before your cruise. So if the cruise is leaving on a Saturday, this is 2 weeks beforehand. So on the Friday at midnight, so as soon as the clock strikes midnight and we get into the Saturday morning, that will be exactly 2 weeks before your cruise leaves. And at that point, you will then be able to book a few little different things that you can do while you're on your cruise. Now, I would really recommend doing this because if you wait until you get onto the ship, or if you even wait maybe a week before, these things might already be fully booked. So if you're able to stay up to midnight, I would recommend doing this. Now, all you need to do is just log into your cruise booking and it will take you straight to the page where you're able to book specific restaurants and also theatre shows. So that's exactly what we did. We saw what the schedule was for the week that we were on Iona, and we looked at the theatre performances that we wanted to see and also some speciality restaurants. Now, you're not going to be able to book the main dining rooms at this point. The main dining rooms are included in the price that you pay for the cruise. So that food is all included and you cannot book that until you get on to Iona. So don't worry about that. This is more for speciality restaurants. So these restaurants, with the exception of the Olive Grove, all require you to pay a supplement. So if you're interested in any of them, it is worth booking a couple of weeks before just to guarantee that you get a slot. Now, the Olive Grove you actually can't book before you get on to Iona, so don't worry about that one. But we'll put up on the screen all the restaurants that you can book 2 weeks ahead of time. And as I say, these ones all do have supplements. Now, I mentioned the main dining rooms there, and what's going to happen with those is that you don't have to book these ahead of time, even when you are on Iona. If you want to dine before 6 o'clock, you can pre-book these restaurants and you can use your phone to do that, to go onto your cruise page. You'll get the link when you first get onto Iona and you'll be able to see exactly what you need to do. But if you're wanting to dine after 6 o'clock, then what you need to do is join a virtual queue. Now, you don't actually need to do this. You can actually just turn up at whatever restaurant you want to choose. So there's 4 main dining rooms. As I said before, these are all included in the price that you paid. So you can just turn up, and what they will do is they will give you one of those little vibratory buzzer things and let you know when your table's ready. So you may have to wait 15 minutes, don't know, half an hour if they're really busy. Or what you can do is just go into the My Holiday app on your phone, and maybe about 15 minutes before you want to dine, just join the virtual queue for whichever restaurant you want to pick, and they will then let you know when your table's ready. And once it is ready, you've then got 15 minutes to get to the restaurant. So that's why I said it's probably best to wait until about 15 minutes before you're ready, and then you can just go to the restaurant. And that is what we did, and it worked out really well for us. And you'll be able to see a bit of that in the vlog when we bring that video out. There's another couple of speciality things that tend to get booked up very far in advance. So if you're interested in doing these two things, I definitely recommend booking the 2 weeks before. So one is the Limelight Club. So this is something that is basically a meal and it's also a performance. So each week it's a different performer. So in the past they've had people like Gareth Gates. On our cruise it was the Dragat Lavoie, who was amazing. So for that you do pay a supplement and you have your meal and performance, and that does tend to get fully booked pretty far in advance. So if you want to do that one, definitely get that booked up. And the other thing is celebration night. So we're going to talk about a bit more about that in a minute. But if you want to do the chef's table, which is included in your price, there's no extra charge, that tends to get booked up very quickly in advance as well. So chef's table is just, it's on celebration night and it's literally just a different menu to the other places. It's curated by a few different chefs, and we did it. So you'll be able to see it in our vlog and see if it was worthwhile doing. But yeah, that is something else that gets booked fairly quickly, so get in there if you want to do that. So on the subject of celebration night, let's talk about dress code, because that's something that a lot of people wonder about, myself included, before we went on the ship. So you have one celebration night on a week-long cruise to the fjords, and it tends to be on your second night on the ship. And for celebration night, you do want to get quite dressed up. It is kind of black tie, ball gown, that kind of thing. I mean, I didn't go as far as a ball gown, to be fair, but I put a nice dress on. Ewan didn't have a black tie, but he had a nice suit and things. So you do need to make a wee bit more of an effort for that one if you do want to eat in the main dining rooms. If getting dressed up isn't your bag, then you don't need to do that, but you will have to probably eat in the Horizon buffet. You won't be able to go into any of the main dining rooms. And the great thing about celebration night is you can really go for it. You can really get really dressed up if you want to, and it was really fun just seeing what everyone was wearing. So that's on celebration night. Now all the other nights for the main dining room, don't get too hung up about it. It's not actually as dressy as you might think. For instance, you can go into the main dining rooms wearing jeans, provided that they're dark denim and they're kind of like, you know, nice jeans. And you can kind of wear, you know, like you don't have to get all dressed up. In fact, I wore some nice little dresses with a pair of white trainers. You know, you can do that. So don't worry about feeling like you have to get mega dressed up if it's not celebration night. As long as you look smart, wear something, you know, if you were going out for a meal here, a little bit dressy, but not too over the top. You don't have to be. But of course, if you want to, then do it, because it's the perfect time. I really enjoyed taking some nice outfits and making an effort every night to look good. It was nice. Another couple of things to say about clothes. If you are going on the Norwegian cruise, just bear in mind that you can have 4 seasons in one day. So you do have to kind of pack a few different options. We went in July hoping that we were going to get really nice weather, but unfortunately it rained the whole time. So luckily we'd taken a couple of jumpers with us, waterproof, but equally you might get a day where the sun's shining and you want to wear a t-shirt and shorts. Unfortunately we didn't, but you might, so just make sure that you take a good range of things. But also bear in mind that there is also a laundry on the ship, so it's got washing machine, tumble dryer, all that kind of thing. So you don't have to take loads of things. If you do want to kind of wash as you go, then that is also an option. Now,
A tip that I would recommend from someone that's went through this is maybe a couple of weeks before, just watch what you eat, because when you go on this ship, you will want to eat everything. If you're like me, a little bit of a pig, restraint is really hard. Now, you can get anything to eat any point. It's kind of like a bit of a free-for-all. There's so much on offer. So you want to basically eat your way through this ship. Well, you might not, but if you're like me, you probably will. So I would try and recommend to just watch what you eat beforehand so you can enjoy it and eat as much as you can, because the food is fantastic. You can have fish and chips at lunchtime, you can have a full breakfast every day, you can have snacks at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night. So watch out for that food. The cheapest cabin to book is the inside cabin. That's the one we booked. Now, looking at it in vlogs and before we went on the ship, I thought it's a little bit pokey, and I was a little bit worried because I thought I'd feel a little bit claustrophobic, but actually it was totally fine. Not having a window, not having a balcony, I thought would be quite weird because you've not got that natural light coming in, but it was actually fine because you're not spending a huge amount of time in the room. And you can go up to the deck and go out for some fresh air, and the air conditioning in the room is actually really good. You've also got on the telly a viewpoint of the ship sailing along, so you kind of feel like you've got a window there. So actually the inside cabin is pretty good. There's enough space for your luggage, enough space to move about, enough space to shower. So yeah, inside cabin's pretty good actually.
Now, excursions is a bit of a hot topic. So you can obviously book excursions through P&O, and just be aware though that if you do, you will be paying over the odds. You will be paying quite a lot of money, especially for Norway, because Norway is an expensive country. I guess the kind of good thing about doing that is that the stress is taken away. You know, they will take you to these places and they'll make sure that you're back in time to get back onto the ship. If you do it yourself, you just have to make sure that you know, give yourself plenty of time to do whatever it is you want to do. I did a lot of research before we went and decided to do things ourselves. It's really easy to do that. If you're a member of the Facebook group, there's lots of ideas in there, or just Google the ports that you're going to and see what there is to do. My tip though would be maybe don't book too much in advance, because you just never know what the weather's going to be like when you get there. So for instance, in Olden, we really wanted to do the sky lift, but we knew that if the weather was rubbish, it probably wouldn't be much fun, visibility would be poor, and we'd have paid a lot of money. So we held off and actually didn't end up doing it because the weather wasn't great. But if we had decided when we got there that we wanted to do it, we could have easily done it. So not everything you have to book ahead of time. For instance as well, I did a rib boat in Haugesund and I didn't book that ahead of time. I just showed up and managed to get on. So just bear in mind that you will save money if you book things yourself. You just have to be a wee bit more organised. But yeah, if you want to save a little bit of cash, then definitely recommend thinking about that. You might be wondering, should I take some Norwegian currency with me, krona? And in all honesty, I really don't think you need to, because everywhere these days accept card. If you really want to take some cash, you can. On board Iona, there is a currency exchange. However, I'm not sure how great the rate is there. But I really don't think you need to. You know, even if you're going into a cafe and you want to just get a coffee, they will take card. If you're doing an excursion, they will take card. Even the buses take card. So I think you'll be fine. Obviously, if you are using cards though, and you're just using your normal bank card, you're probably going to get stung for fees, currency, conversion fees and all that kind of thing. And you might not get a very good rate. So I do recommend maybe taking a card like the Wise card. That is a fantastic card, by the way, if you are going abroad. It's so easy to use. You just basically load it up with whatever currency you want to use and you just spend it from there. And you literally just transfer the money from your bank account into the Wise card. It's so easy to do, and the rates are really great. The fees are super low, and it's what we use now wherever we go. We'll put a link in the comments below, and if you do want to look into getting a Wise card, just click the link and that'll kind of take you to the page and you can see a wee bit more about that. But definitely, if you haven't got a Wise card, I would recommend looking into getting one because they're very helpful.
Now, we've been travelling all over the world, loads of places, and I always get paranoid about my passport. So just whatever you do, don't forget your passport. That is key.
So we hope that you found this video helpful, and I'm actually a little bit jealous if you're about to go on Iona because we loved it so much and I really want to go back already actually. But yeah, keep an eye out for our videos. They are coming up very soon. Our next one will be out in a week's time. We bring out videos every Friday, so you'll be able to see our whole adventure on Iona there. And please do subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out. Hit the notification bell. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and we'll be back next week with more cruise capers.